And welcome back into the Cowboys Report. Tom Downey here, producer Chris, once again behind the scenes for today's live show. We will spend plenty of time on CeeDee Lamb. I'm actually a little bit surprised, Chris, that it took until mid-August to reach cryptic Instagram post season. Normally that happens a lot sooner. Lamb, we'll show it to you guys later on, posting the Spider-Man 3 Tobey Maguire black suit photo. What does it mean? Did he just watch the movie? No. Is he upset? Does he have to be the bad guy for a little bit? We'll break it down. I think your next key target date of deadlines make deals, which is BS anyway, is roster cutdown time for the Cowboys. So does a CeeDee Lamb deal get done by the time roster cutdowns arrive? Y for yes, N for no. I don't know when it gets done. Everyone around the league still believes it gets done, but the one word for the situation is stupid, because it's stupid we're at this point. It's stupid there's been no deal done, and it's having stupid Instagram posts now. Whole thing's just a colossal cluster of everything dumb going on right now. So Y for yes, N for no. Daryl says no. Just JLF says, I don't know. I don't know either. Dennis says nope. Luis says nope. Seabass says no. JB says yes. Tim says yes. Leroy says no. Christopher says no. Tim says yes. Floorblock Boys, Kevin Knight say yes. Zachary says, I hope. That is unanimous. Crossboard, everyone hopes that the deal gets done. Bruno says yes. Brian has a no. Elite Gaming knows. Yeses from TJ. Daniel. Johnny says he gets traded. I will jump. Nothing that says punting on our season like trading away your superstar wide receiver with no backup plan in place. Tyler says they should have been done last spring. Boy, maybe you should have. If you'd worked hard. And the Cowboys have to say, we're trying hard. Why weren't you trying months ago? Right? You didn't even meet with them at the combine. Didn't even try to. That's what I knew. That's what I knew this was going to be bad. Because I was talking to a different Cowboys reporter who was at the Stephen Jones little side session, and he's like, they wouldn't even say they were going to meet with the agents. I'm like, yeah, that's... we know they're going to. I'm like, I literally said, it'd be a bad sign if they didn't. And then, the next day it came out that they weren't going to. And I'm like, oh, boy, it's not going to be a good thing. Jonathan's like, honestly, if you had gone to CeeDee Lamb and this time last offseason said, hey, we'll give you $30 million per year, actual $30 million per year, he would have said yes. He would have done it. Instead, you didn't. And now because you didn't even try to. Ecuador Man says no. Brandon says no. Robert says no. Samuel says all in LOL. Yeah, that's where we're at. All in season. In the words of a guy I don't like, my ass certainly has been the lack of progress across. Again, that was the free square of the offseason. Pay CeeDee Lamb. They couldn't get that deal done. All right, today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last-minute tickets to your next big sporting event. That could be NFL, NBA, college football, etc. Game Time has you covered. Download the Game Time app, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Today's show is also made possible by Prize Picks. They are America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, over 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. They're also giving you a first deposit match up to $100. That's by using code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show as well. It's code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Let's talk Cowboys legend voting. The caveat, if you have not paid attention to, which is fine, not everyone does, it's not actually good players. The point of the Cowboys legend bit is these are guys that once played for the Cowboys, normally short time frames, normally not that great, or you remember them for a completely different team, but they once played for the Cowboys, therefore they are legends. They are not good enough to be in the actual Ring of Honor, or even be in conversation for the actual Ring of Honor. So I got 5 options for you guys. You can split your vote between Scott Fujita and DeVonte Holloman. That's deep cuts on those two, by the way. Keith Brooking, who I think I'll remember for the Falcons, right? At least that's what I remember for. Ernie Sims, a former top 10, I believe, pick by the Lions. He played for the Cowboys briefly. And the guy I suspect is going to win, Rolando McClain, who was really good for the 2 years he wasn't suspended for with the Dallas Cowboys. And also was like a top 10 pick, I think, by the Raiders. He's a Bama great. He was an actually awesome football player, but that dude was just he was something. He was something. Jay Deals, I see your comment. Stay tuned. Again, we're going by positions here. These are all linebackers. We will get to defensive backs in the not-too-distant future. We've got one more linebacker left. Bobby Carpenter won last week. I kind of thought it was going to be a Zach Thomas win, but Barbie Carpenter came out on top. You don't even know the Barbie Carpenter lore. Bobby Carpenter, Mark Colombo were going at it, and Mark Colombo was winning at training camp, and Bobby Carpenter has long blonde hair. He cut it off, by the way. It's now short hair. And Mark Colombo kept calling him Barbie. Elite football trash talk. Elite football trash talk. So I want to mention one thing on Lamb here, specifically for you, Kirk. Trade him for so much, we hope you win a championship. Just do not trade him to a contender. Give him an ultimatum and go sign or trade for a top receiver in 2025. Who's this magical top receiver you're going to trade for or get to replace CeeDee Lamb? Who is it? Because if you trade for a guy that's just as good as CeeDee Lamb, guess what? He's going to want a contract just like CeeDee Lamb. That's why you just pay the guy you have that's super talented. 49% for Rolando McClain right now. 17% for Scott Fujita and DeVonte Holloman. I agree with Robert. I thought Holloman was going to be a nice late round pick. Did not turn out that way. Keith Brooking at 18%. Ernie Sims at 16%. So plurality, not quite majority, as we sit right now for Rolando McClain. Quick super chat menu update for you. $20 for a shot. We didn't do them during week 2 of the preseason. I will do real shots now since I feel much better. Although I am flying half blind because my contact has a chip in it and it was hurting the hell out of my eyes and I couldn't keep it open. So this eye, I basically can't read what's on. Like if this is the eye with no contact, I am almost legally blind without my contacts. In fact, I can't drive without at least one of my contacts in because my vision is that bad. So you see me like squinting weirdly trying to read something, it's because this is the good vision and this is. There's a lot of blurry words on screen that if I didn't know what was on there, I genuinely could not read it. And that screen is what? 7 feet away from me, if that, like 5 feet away? Yeah, not very far. $20 for a shot, 50 for a beer bong, 100 for the bong slap and shot trio, 500 as we are doing for the entire season. Custom Cowboys jersey. You pick the name, the number on the back. I'll wear it during our watch parties, and you can show off how cool you are to everyone, just like our Raiders stream does. Anthony McMillan, hopefully that arrives in week 1 for him. That's my goal. All right, we are going to move to secondary after this week for the Cowboys legend bit. So drop some Cowboys legends for me in the comment section. You do not need to say Jeff Heath. Jeff Heath is the first name on this list. He is the first name on here. And I think he is going to easily win. Someone did mention Rico Gathers. Of note, there are actually no tight ends because there are no tight ends in the actual Cowboys Ring of Honor. So whenever Jason Witten gets in, we will add some tight ends to the group there. Remember, these are not actually good players. I got to think about Morris Claiborne. He's kind of like on that fringe of like maybe being too good. Ken Hamlin is a good one. I refuse to put David Irving in there because I hated him as a person. Michael Jackson is a great poll there. Xavier Rhodes, that's so perfect. He was there for like 6 games. Barry Church, I want to think if I got to think about if he's too good or not. Dwayne Goodrich, nice poll. Older names the best because then I can get names that don't come to my mind. Oh man, Reign Supreme has maybe a first balloter or one that I might put on no matter what. Clinton Dix, Alan Ball, good poll too. I think Orlando Skidrick was definitely too good actually. Tyler Patman, aka core special teamer guy, always good. Old school Charlie Williams, okay. Add him to the list. Mike Jenkins. That's a good one. Remember, these are defensive backs. J.J. Wilcox. So that's a good one, too. That's when, like, Cowboys didn't have good safeties for, like, from the, like, post-Darren Woodson to, like, kind of more recently. They didn't have very many good safeties, and that's how J.J. Wilcox kept on playing. Let's see. Dusty Cheeks. I don't know if that's a real name or not, but I'm falling for it if it's an older guy. Brandon Carr. You guys might like it, but Brandon Carr was objectively too good. He wasn't even that bad of a signing. He just wasn't a top 10 corner. He was more like a top 20 corner. Earl Thomas. I kind of want to put him in there. I might do that one as a joke. Just an asterisk sip. Jameel Showers. I have a special section that I am probably going to do that is going to be either just like player and coach combined. So I can put like Kellen Moore and Jason Garrett in there. Or I might just give it to Jameel Showers as the final spot. Because I think he should definitely be in there. Kind of like the same way I gave it to, maybe I'll give Jameel Showers a chance to win the vote outright and then go to the coaching stuff. Because like John Kitna, Kellen Moore is like a fun Cowboys legend grouping there. Everson Walls, way too good. Deion Sanders, way too good. Ooh, Pac-Man Jones. Artist now known as Adam Jones. That is a fantastic one. There's a couple of different sends of balls you could actually put on that list, I feel like, over the years for Dallas. Check if Tony Dixon was too good. That's a good older name pull there. You also won't like it. Anthony Brown was too good. He was. I think I got Charlie Waters on there. Let me put that one in there. Trying to still mostly avoid my current players. Sean Wright. He's still in the league. I don't want to give up on him fully from that perspective, but yeah, he counts. George Teague, I think, was actually too good. Larry Brown, I'd say, was too good. I loved safety Roy Williams. I think wide receiver Roy Williams is accurate. Safety Roy Williams was too good there. So keep the comments coming. I appreciate that, guys. Several super chats here. Ecuador man AOG. Here's money for one blind Tom to another. Appreciate that, my friend. I have to go to the eye doctor because I'm convinced I am due for a prescription upgrade. But I don't like going to the doctor. So, ooh, Reggie Robinson is a good one too. I'm gonna throw that name in there. That's a more recent one. Tyler Madden, Toilet Squad. This is probably over the CeeDee Lamb disaster. Nolan Carroll is so perfect. What an all-time. That was a bad free agency signing. Terrence Newman was way too good, by the way. We don't wipe these 304s. Kyle Van Noy to the Cowboys can't afford all three. This is in reference to Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb. They absolutely can. Now, they will tell you that, oh, maybe we can't. They can. They're not paying anybody. Like, the guys under contract long-term are Terrence Steele, Trayvon Diggs, and rookie contract players. There's nobody of note they're actually paying. So they absolutely can afford to. Do they want to? Will they choose to? That is a different conversation. But they absolutely can if they want to. Don't let them gaslight you into saying otherwise. I get that there's so much sticker shock, and it's not about we don't like these 304s. I guess it's more for Van Noy. I get there's a lot of sticker shock. Have you guys seen how much salary cap has jumped? It has gone up a tremendous amount with no signs of slowing down anytime soon. The offer continues to stand if we get to a 50% like ratio before I get to the first request for it. I will do a shot. We did not get there today. We are at almost 69 likes, which, don't get me wrong, is quite nice, but it is not the 50% like ratio we are going for there. That one was, quite a ways off there. So like that video if you haven't already done so. At 76, I can get to at least 100. Get to at least a third of the like ratio there. So, ooh, man. Owusu Ansah from Zach Harmon. What a great poll that one is. Some really good, I think, DBs. I think DB is a bit more fun than, like, trench players, That was a point I thought he might end up being pretty good. Kind of a shame it didn't materialize that way. Kayvon Frazier is going. There's a lot of, like, random safeties who started games for Dallas because there was nobody else on the roster. Danny McCray is a good one. Kayvon Frazier is a good one. Probably do a safety-only section and at least get some corners in there. So, like that video. If you guys haven't already done so. Patrick Watkins. God, there's so many good polls in there. All right, coming up on today's live show, we will discuss CeeDee Lamb. We will discuss the overall drama around the Cowboys and that front, other topics of conversation as well. Some cut candidates, notable names, not like, they're going to cut Deontay Burnett. Everyone and their brother knows Deontay Burnett is not making this roster. We're talking more notable names in that section. A mailbag, 2 ways to get on the show. Use hashtag Cowboys or Super Chat like several of you have done already today. And part 1 of what will be a 2-part preseason preview against the Chargers. All coming live here on the Cowboys Report. We are on a Monday, and it's a great time to check in on the NFC East sub-battle. We have gained narrow ground over Giants now. They have a pretty popular video, so I think that's going to begin to change a little bit. But this is the updated numbers here. Let's make sure we maintain our lead. If you want free Cowboys videos multiple times per day, every single day, hit that sub button. It's youtube.com/CowboysTV. Let's check in on the latest with one CeeDee Lamb, which is... the whole thing is frustrating and annoying, and I would even argue stupid. The main updates are much the same stuff we've had previously, although I kind of surprised it took so long. We've now hit cryptic Instagram post season. CeeDee Lamb posting this earlier this afternoon. Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 3, black suit. What does it mean? Is it no more Mr. Nice Guy? Sometimes the hero has to be the villain to get what he wants. Is it he's suiting up for the season, but he's not happy about it? Is it he just watched the movie and thought it was a banger shot? I don't think it takes a genius, a rocket scientist, a YouTuber, a journalist, anyone to know this has not gone well for the Cowboys and Lamb. There is frustration, as evidenced when he quote tweeted the owner and just said LOL, which is never a good sign. I think Lamb is frustrated by how things are going because every update's the same. And the organization keeps saying it's not that big of a deal for us. You getting paid? It's not that big of a deal. Here's what Jerry Jones said in the pregame show for the Cowboys, which, hey, maybe your owner shouldn't be doing a pregame show, but that's how it goes in Big D. We're having the same kind of talks we've been having. Not worried about a target date for the contract, not worried about his shape. Glad he's not out here risking some injury tonight. First off, I hate we're avoiding the injury risk, at least. That's such a ridiculous excuse. Do you know why? Because CeeDee Lamb was not going to be playing in the preseason anyway. It's like someone bemoans the fact that it's 100 degrees in August, and the response is, at least it's not snowing. It's August. That was never a threat in the first place. Doesn't mean anything. The AC's broken. Fix the damn AC. The issues here for the Cowboys is the offer's been 33.5-ish, 30 or 32.5, just under it. The issues overall are less about the average per year of this contract. I do want to emphasize that part because that's what most of the reporting is focused on. Here's what Clarence Hill wrote. And I think Hill's earned some good credibility with this whole conversation, by the way. The Cowboys have traded proposals with Lamb agents Tory Danny since the start of training camp, and they have yet to get to $33 million annually. Contract structure and length also remain roadblocks towards a deal. I think they're not that far off in the actual average per year. But the other elements, the length, the structure, and the guaranteed money are pretty big deals. We've gone through this before. If you agree on the average per year, but not the years, you don't actually agree on the money, despite what the Cowboys might try to tell you. There is a sizable difference, about actually $2 million per year, between 4 years at 33 and 5 years at 33. That is because you can backload the cut and structure it properly to bring that money down. And guaranteed money matters the most. There's no way around that. Guaranteed money is the most important thing. I can pay a player $50 million per year, but if I do a 5-year deal and it's all backloaded to hell and there's like $10 million guaranteed, it's not really a $50 million per year deal. Extreme example, not with the case with CeeDee Lamb, obviously, but I think that guaranteed money remains your big sticking point here. So will CeeDee Lamb get a deal done by roster cuts? That's your next deadline, right? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments section. The pinned comment of today's show. The Cowboys' notable player, holdout history when it got to training camp and wasn't just like the threats of it. Zach Martin got paid on August 14th. Ezekiel Elliott, the Cowboys took that one all the way up to September 4th. And then, by the way, gave him everything he wanted because they always do that in contract talks. Emmitt Smith didn't sign until midseason. I'll be pretty pissed if this is a midseason holdout. And I would be surprised. A lot of game checks Lamb's forfeiting. But it'd be a really bad sign for the Cowboys. I still think this deal gets done because it's just stupid not to. It doesn't make sense for every party involved. Like, look, Justin Jefferson got $35 million per year on a 4-year deal. A.J. Brown got $32 million per year on a 3-year deal. If we're taking out our fandom, taking out what we want just to get the damn deal done, right? Outside looking in, that deal should probably be closer to Justin Jefferson than it should be for A.J. Brown. And that's true in both the average per year and probably the guaranteed money as well. Now, the A.J. Brown deal was a further out extension, so you can asterisk it if you want to, and maybe the Cowboys are trying to do that. But, look, does anyone here believe that in 3 years, CeeDee Lamb is not going to be a critical part of this team? I don't think anybody believes that. So the guaranteed money is okay to pay. Like, Lamb's a superstar caliber wide receiver. You pay that guy every time. Like, you can argue maybe you don't want to pay Dak for Micah, and there are valid arguments there. I don't see a single damn one for CeeDee Lamb. Because if you're trying to win games, you need him. If you are rebuilding, guess what? You need him. Because otherwise you got no playmakers for your new young QB. I'm not even looking forward to the excitement over the deal anymore. Of like, Cowboys paid Lamb, woo, super chat party. I just want off the ride. This is the worst roller coaster in human history. It is not fun. It's no longer excitement about having a critical core piece of your team locked in, and he's not going anywhere. He's a part of your future. He's a part of your short term jersey sales. It's just relief to thank God it's finally over. It's not fun anymore. It's a failure of this organization, unquestionably, that this deal is still not done. And it has taken this long, and you're still haggling over the shit you could have been haggling over 5 months ago and prioritized it. Instead, you didn't even bother to meet with him at the Combine. And that's when I knew this was going to be a rough offseason for the Cowboys. That's when I knew this was not going to go well. And here we are in August, and you still ain't got the free square done. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Made possible today. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Game Time. It is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. There are some fun features on Game Time, including the Game Time Picks section. You can filter incredible deals on great seats with the Game Time Picks section of the app. It shows you only the best value on tickets. You can find last-minute deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. Exclusive flash deals, sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. You can do zone deals. Always keep an eye out for the zone deals if you can find them. You pick the section. Game Time picks the seats for last-minute savings, or big-time savings in the process. So download the Game Time app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase once you create your account. Now, terms apply, but again, create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. That link will be in the comment section and the description of today's show. That's gametime.co, promo code CHATSPORTS. Of note, that's something more entertaining to talk about and not just getting me frustrated. Jerry Jones seemingly implying the Cowboys might not be done looking for interior defensive line depth because, that was something I was worried about since day one of free agency, and at least now they're trying to address it. Here's what Jerry said. Sometimes in the interior line, you get a chance to do some things other clubs right at the end of training camp in that area. What you're seeing right now is important. It's important to see these guys take reps, but tonight won't be the final piece of the puzzle. So I have tried my damnedest to find some options for you guys. But do the Cowboys in general need another defensive tackle? 1 for yes, they do. 0 for no, they do not. Go ahead and let me know what you think the Cowboys need to do here in the comments of today's video. Chauncey Golston seems to be playing a lot of defensive end. They can reduce him inside at times. Same with Marshawn Nealand. I'm actually fine at one technique. Jordan Phillips can play that role. Mozzie Smith can do that now that he's over his allergic reaction to peanuts, by the way, which glad that ended up being okay. Justin Rogers can be the nose guard. Osa Odigizua is a good 3 technique. I want to see him finish seasons out, but if he goes down, I got nobody. But Albert Huggins was better in week 2, but he's not like a great football player. Denzel Daxon is going to be the freebie on your practice squad. I would love to find at least another guy that can play the 3 technique spot. And I know Zimmer wants bigger DTs. That's great. And I'm fine to add more of those guys too. DT room is still pretty damn thin. So some cut and trade targets here along the defensive line. Fidarian Mathis, John Ridgeway. I think the idea of John Ridgeway is better than actual John Ridgeway. We've kind of put him on a pedestal a little bit as Cowboys fans. But I got a lot of bodies at DT. And Dan Quinn already dumped him once. Siak Ika is your nose guard type in Cleveland. I think Chris Williams, under the radar name, has actually played pretty darn well in camp in the preseason. Decent name to kind of to not sleep on there. Haven't heard of him. It's fine, but he's done a good job so far up in Cleveland. Jonathan Ford, the Packers defensive lineman, might be the odd man out there. James Lynch has ties to Mike Zimmer, so I will mention him as a possibility. DeMarvin Leal was a relatively highly drafted defensive lineman. I don't think he's been that good in Pittsburgh, but it's August. You're not going to get Jonathan Allen. Nothing about the Cowboys operates that way. So these are more bottom-of-the-barrel options, but they're at least bottom of the roster barrel and not bottom of the practice squad potential barrel. I am going to spend time on Ezekiel Elliott today, and I'm not going to go too in-depth on this because the online conversation before the CeeDee Lamb Spider-Man drama was a complete rehashing of the exact same conversations that happened months ago. The Cowboys, in reality, and we can argue the opinion side of it, but the reality is the Cowboys have made it clear he's on this team. There is not a roster competition going on for Ezekiel Elliott. That is why he hasn't played in the preseason. You can argue if you want if he should have had to have earned a role given where he is in his career. That's fine. I'm always up for good debate. The Cowboys don't feel that way, which I told you they weren't going to. When they signed Ezekiel Elliott, there was no chance he wasn't going to be on the roster. There's too much other stuff involved when it comes to Zeke and the Cowboys. That's not even necessarily football related. There was no way they were going to sign him and then cut him. That's why I've had Zeke as RB1 on this roster the entire time. He didn't play in the first preseason game. Rico Dowdle did. I think Dowdle's a better runner right now than Ezekiel Elliott. But Zeke's on this team. Who your third running back is, your fourth running back is, I don't really know right now. I think that's up for grabs. Malik Davis got the first reps at running back over Royce Freeman and Deuce Vaughn. This team has hyped up Royce Freeman. I would argue if you're doing this whole committee thing at running back, and you've got your kind of well-rounded guy that can do everything, I think that really is Rico Dowdle. Not at a high level, but he can pass protect, he can catch, he can run, he can do special team stuff, he can do it all for you. You want that third down scat back, you want that explosive player, it's Deuce and nobody. None of these guys are explosive, frankly. Rico can do a little bit of it. I think that Ezekiel Elliott and Royce Freeman can both fit that power back, short yardage type of player. I don't know if you need both of them on your roster. Like, Royce helps you out a lot more on special teams, but it's not the same way as in terms of what he means to the organization. I don't know if you need both. So I'll leave this up for opinion. It's going to be Zeke. But if you could only pick one, who would it be? RY for Royce Freeman, EE for Ezekiel Elliott. The whole Zeke drama online, I was a little frustrated by it because nothing's actually changed. It's been training camp, it's running back, so you don't see that much of actual stuff that matters because there's not a ton of true tackling. He didn't play in the preseason. Nothing about the way you feel about Ezekiel Elliott really should have changed since we've had these conversations back in April. Any of your positives, any of your concerns are still there. You're worried about the athletic juice? That's still there. You think he's going to be great short yardage, goal line back stuff? That hasn't changed. Zeke is who he is at this point. I think it's kind of silly to try to just argue over the same things over and over again. Whatever side you're on, that's fine. I think all of us are going to be cheering for him because it'd be nice to, have success. That's what we all want. We might disagree on the best ways to get to success, and that's fine. But Zeke is who he is, and that's okay. Now, one roster move here for you guys. The Cowboys have now officially signed Carl Lawson. We had those contract details too. 1-year deal worth $1.13 million base, up to $2.13 million with incentives for 5 sacks, 7 sacks, 55% playtime, then 65% playtime, and playoffs. And it's each of those. So they double it if he hits all of them. I don't think he's going to. So pretty cheap deal there for the Cowboys to make room for Lawson. By the way, they did put Earl Bostic on IR, ending his season following his surgery previously. So name a Cowboys legend for me in the secondary. Who you got in mind? I got a lot of good names. The past couple weeks, or past couple minutes, I guess, here. Overall, I think there's some good names. Xavier Woods. Coach Prime is too good. Shoot. Xavier Woods might actually be okay. Might be like fringe too good. Fringe too good. Michael Jackson. Darian Thompson. He's in there. He's also in my coaching player section, since he is a coach for the Cowboys, by the way. Tyler Patman is in there for sure. Mario Edwards. That's a good pull. That's a good pull. All right, that's some good ones there. Jeff Heath is good, guys. Jeff Heath is I think I am gonna have to be very strategic with who I put against Jeff Heath, because Jeff Heath is going to win. There's no way Jeff Heath does not win. I do think Matt Johnson should probably win too. I thought he was going to be really good. I really did. And then he ended up not being very good. Some super chats will hit here. How bad will you lose your shit if CeeDee Lamb requests a trade? I'm this close. We've got this close emoji. Didn't really come through. I'm just rooting for my childhood team, the Falcons. I'm over the BS. Be careful, though, because you might be mad about the Falcons spending a first-round pick on a quarterback after spending $40 million on Kirk Cousins. So, careful what you wish for. Grass isn't always greener, but I totally get the frustration. I have not enjoyed it so far. Whitney, excuse me. 2 things, Tom. How do you think the Zimmer D hold against the tush push since Hurts and Barkley squat combined 1,200 plus? Shout out Esme. Appreciate that, Danny. I do wonder how much of the tush push was because of Jason Kelce. How much did he impact that? Look, I think that the tush push came less from the running back and more from the actual offensive line. In many ways, it's much closer just to a rugby-style play than it is like anything else. So I think it probably won't be as effective, but in general, most 3rd and 1 sneaks work anyway. So I think that a lot of the hand-wringing over the Eagles version of it is a little bit overblown. From Ryan. What do you think of Lamb's Instagram story means? No more Mr. Nice Guy / sometimes the hero's got to be the villain. Like, he's frustrated by the contract talks. We all know that. I don't blame him either. They didn't prioritize it. They waited and waited and waited, and then keep saying publicly we're in no rush. I don't know. It's obviously completely different money, but if your contract was almost up and you were a valuable member of your employment and you weren't allowed to go explore other jobs and you kept asking your boss, say, can I get what I'm due? Can I get what I'm owed? And they're saying, no, it's fine. It's not important. We're not going to offer you market rate. You'd be a little bit mad too. Now, I get the money's different, but the principle still applies all the same. So, it's frustrating. I am frustrated by the entire situation because it should have been done a year ago. Zach Crosby, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Off to a great start. Proved it was all line and Hurts does nothing for the tush push. Okay. I'm actually more fine with him doing that as like doing the physics side as opposed to him taking movies and explaining why it doesn't make any sense. Like, no shit, Neil. It's a movie. That's the point of it. There's no fire in space. We know that. There are still explosions in space, in movies. It is okay. Super chat menu here. $20 for a shot. 50 for the beer bong. I don't know. That was just a random rant that I felt like on. But am I wrong either? No, I'm not wrong. $100 for the bong, slap, and shot combo. And $500 custom Cowboys jersey. You pick the name. You pick the number. And I'll wear it throughout our watch parties. And it's like free advertising from that perspective. Get your super chats in here. We'll go to the mailbag in a little bit. But first, I want to run through some cut candidates for the Cowboys. Update on our season, or I guess monthly-long, like battle against the Raiders report. I'm actually shocked. I went back and checked this 3 times. We have exactly a 5,000 like lead over the Raiders report. Much like the preseason game, let's bury them. Like the video on today's show, especially if you want a roster projection before the next Cowboys preseason game. Let's talk notable cut candidates here. Players you've heard of, probably, that are not necessarily locked. All these guys are going to get cut. Want to have a conversation on them. Cooper Rush is first up here. And Rush will be involved on this team. But what happens if Lance plays great in the 3rd preseason game? What the Cowboys can do with Cooper Rush, with the way his contract is structured, the guaranteed money, etc., they could cut Cooper Rush, and because he is a vested veteran, he does not go through waivers. You then put him on the practice squad, and every week he is your emergency 3rd quarterback. I think that's very doable for Dallas if that is a path they choose to pursue, if Lance earns that number 2 quarterback job. I am only putting Hunter Lipke on here because I have seen him be left off of roster projections by the Dallas Morning News and others. And quite frankly, I think that's wrong. I would be very surprised if Lipke did not make this Dallas Cowboys roster. He played 3 offensive snaps in week 2 of the preseason. They didn't do much else with him. They were putting Princeton Fant back there, a bunch at tight end. And the reason why, I believe, they know he's on the roster. Mike McCarthy likes that kid. He's a core special teamer as well. I think they view him as someone that could potentially help out at tight end in a pinch as well. Plus, Mike has said he buckets those groups together anyway. So whether you're counting 4 tight ends, 3 tight ends, 4 running backs, 3 running backs, 5 running backs, Lipke's going to be one of those players. I would be very surprised if he did not make the 50th. In fact, that'd be one of the more surprising roster cuts I've seen in a while out of Dallas. Since the Dan Bailey one, probably. I still have to put my boy Deuce Vaughn on this list. I can't quit him. I thought he played really well in the last preseason game. Unlike all of the other backs on this roster, I think he actually offers you some juice and explosive ability and shiftiness in a way that you just don't have with what is a pretty battering ram heavy lead running back room in Dallas right now. He only played like 8 snaps or 7 snaps, whatever that exact number was in the 2nd preseason game. Every touch was a successful play. And I think if we're going to give the average doesn't mean everything, got to focus on successful plays. It was all successful. It was all impactful out of Deuce Vaughn. So I cannot quit him. I also know that he has to earn a roster spot. Still in this 3rd preseason game is going to be pretty impactful. Zeke's on this team. Rico Dowdle is on this team. Lipke, I think, is on this team. I think that leaves one spot for Royce Freeman and Deuce Vaughn. So who would you pick? You can only pick one of these guys. RY for Royce Freeman. DV for Deuce Vaughn. Sound off the pin comment of today's show. I don't necessarily think Ryan Flournoy is a roster lock, although that route against Jack Jones was pretty damned impressive. Cowboys have 5 players who are going to make this roster at wide receiver. Flournoy actually is your leading wide receiver in the preseason at 31 yards. That's not necessarily great. A testament to how many guys are playing and the overall passing game, short yardage stuff that's been going on there. But I have seen a lot of what I've wanted to see from Flournoy in the sense that I was worried about him after game 1. He was way better in game 2. Another step forward, I think he makes this team. Lamb is going to be on it. Cooks is going to be on it. Tolbert. I think Jalen Brooks makes it too. I mean, he's barely played in the preseason. If you're barely playing in the preseason, that almost always means the team knows that you're going to be safe. There are exceptions, like injuries and stuff. Kevontae Turpin is there. Is there a 6th player? If it is, I think Flournoy has the edge in a way that maybe wasn't the case early on in training camp. Last of the offensive linemen, Nathan Thomas. Look, the Cowboys like their guys. They do everything possible to get their draft picks onto the roster. But Nathan Thomas hasn't been playing. So how you figure that out and adjust from there is noteworthy. In a bubble, the O-line rotation kind of looked a little bit like this. It's shuffled around a little bit, but Tyler Guyton's going to be on this team. Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. I really want to put BB back at the starter at center. I really want to do it, but I'm going to hold off for now. But BB's on this team. Adoga's going to be an IR candidate. TJ Bass is on this team. So at that, and I think Awesome Richards makes it, but as a guard. And that's what they've been playing Nathan Thomas. I don't know who this team's backup left tackle is with Adoga banged out. I am very concerned it is Josh Ball. And in that case, Nathan Thomas, Matt, let's go. One of those guys probably going to get cut. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Prize Picks. They are America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, it's just you against the numbers. You're not battling thousands of other players. You just pick more than or less than. You got preseason football is underway, but you can pick more than or less than on 2024 season stats on Prize Picks. It is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and Georgia. This is one of my season-long Prize Picks slates for football. Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Dak Prescott, all the more than passing yards, because if they're healthy, they're going to smash those marks. And that's an easy smash for me, as long as they're healthy. I'll do the flex play. If I get one wrong, I still come out on top. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. Link will be in the comments and the description, of course, of today's show. All right, so we've wrapped up our 5 offensive cut candidates here for the Dallas Cowboys. Move ahead to the defensive cut candidates. This one should probably not be a surprise. DeVonte Jr. has, I think, frankly, been the biggest disappointment. I don't want to bite to the guy. I feel bad saying this, but it is how I feel. I don't know if anyone's been more disappointing to me this preseason. He has played 75 snaps. He has 1 tackle and 0 pressures. He's been a ghost out there. I don't get it. I get that there's the tweener stuff, and they probably had him. The weight change has probably been an impact maybe there, but you were a 4th-round pick. I had a 5th-round grade on you. I thought you'd be getting outplayed by Al-Quadin Muhammad and Darrell Johnson and Tyrus Wheat. There might not have been a worse player on this Cowboys roster right now than Fehoko. Actually, I thought Dakota Shelley was pretty bad last week. But point still stands. 75 plays, and I think it's like 40-something of those are pass plays. You got 0 pressures? 0? Tank Lawrence, DeMarcus, or Micah Parsons, Marshawn Nealon, I think Chauncey Golston, Carl Lawson. That's probably going to be your 5 pass rushing group. Maybe. Everyone else I think is over Fehoko as well right now. It's not a great spot to be. I would love if Dan Quinn came and picked up his mistake. Do you think, though, that could happen? The preseason film was bad, man. Do you think the Cowboys could find a trade partner for Fehoko? Y for yes, N for no. There was one projection, and I wonder if it was just one that got put out later than it should have, and they forgot to adjust it, of no Andrew Booth on the Cowboys roster. They could cut him if they wanted to. I thought there were some ups and downs, some good, some bad in Booth's first game. The fact that he's got 2 years left, no guaranteed money, I think he makes it as this team's 5th corner. 9 of 12, 411 yards, not very good. It's high. I will say, only 4 of those catches went for a first down. Some of them coming on 3rd downs too, by the way. For a player at Clemson that was straight up a bad tackler, I was very happy to see him make a bunch of good tackles. He made several good ones in that game. So there's still work to be done in coverage, obviously. That's the most important part. I thought some steps forward in the first game. I can't wait to see him again in the second one. Probably comes down to is Eric Scott versus Andrew Booth. And I'm not surprised the Cowboys played Booth as much as they did because they wanted to give him reps, because they want to see what they truly have in him there. Eric Scott has the INT, the splashy play. I did not notice him in last week's game. That is actually a good thing, because it means you're not getting beat. Didn't allow a catch on like 2 targets. However, every catch he's allowed has gone for a first down. So almost half the targets with the same amount of first downs allowed. It's not good. It's not good at all, frankly. So let's say you can only pick one of these guys to make the roster. I think you only do pick one of these guys, barring injury stuff. AB for Andrew Booth, ES for Eric Scott. We'll stick in the secondary, Israel Mukuamu. They're playing him mostly at nickel, which I actually don't mind at all. The best thing I think going in favor for Israel Mukuamu is he can be your number 2 nickel or number 3 if you want to shift around Bland inside, but I kind of don't know if you want to at this point. If something happens to Jordan Lewis, he can be your number 5 or number 6, whatever, outside corner, or I guess number 5 since Lewis is really just a nickel. And if there's a safety injury, he's your number 5 safety, and he's a core special teamer. I actually think when you get down to the back end of that roster and you're figuring who is your number 52, your number 53 player, your 48th guy on game day, being able to do all those different things actually kind of goes in your favor. In a way it doesn't for the banged-up Schroeder Quedwine. In a way it doesn't for Eric Scott. So I don't want to quit Izzy, because I still believe in him. But he's by no means a roster lock at this time. Now, if you want that Cowboys roster projection later this week, you can kind of tell from this list who I'm not quite sure is going to be on that when I get to it, then sub. Free videos multiple times per day, every day here on the Cowboys Report. CJ Goodwin does feel like cheating. I also wonder if this could actually be it for him finally. I wonder if the kickoff rule changes actually benefit more of the linebacker build types, the safety build types. Now, the punt return stuff still matters, although I'd like to point out that when there was a penalty on special teams last week, it was on Goodwin. And that's not a great thing. Now, much like Cooper Rush, we're kind of bookended on this part. He is not subject to waivers as a vested veteran. So you could cut him, put him on the practice squad the next day with no risk of being claimed, although you have to have him want to sign with you still. And then, boom, he can be a game day call up 3 times. Rush can be called up infinitely if that scenario occurs, by the way. So I would not be shocked if he ends up getting cut. All right, it's mailbag time here on the Cowboys Report. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1 is use #Cowboys. That is how producer Chris can find your question. Otherwise, he is not going to be able to find it. It'll be buried in the many, 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 many comments that come in over the course of a show. Or Super Chat. Skip the line altogether from Object Pawar, or with like Object Pawar. We'll get to his Super Chat, by the way, as part of this mailbag. So use #Cowboys as part of the same question, not just #Cowboys. It's all got to be one line. #Cowboys or Super Chat to skip the line. We do have our Super Chat menu since I didn't drink at all during the last preseason game. Well, I guess I had like 2, 3 beers, whatever it was, which is child's play for me. $20 for a shot. We will do real shots. No Gatorade shot BS today. $50 for the beer bong. $100 for the bong, slap, and shot combo. And $500 custom Cowboys jersey. Your name, your number. I'll wear it all season long, then ship it out to you at the end of the year. A super thanks to begin today's mailbag from Chris. I've been subscribed since the start of the channel. I watch every video that comes out. You guys over the years have become a part of my routine, and I see you guys almost like family. What you do is awesome, and I appreciate everything you do. First off, Chris, one of the nicer things that has been said to me, so thank you very much. I don't think you know how much that means to me. I'm so happy to have this job, do everything I'm able to do, and it's because of people like you who enjoy it and watch it and do all the other stuff that comes along with it. So, Chris, thank you very much. Now, any super thanks get shown here. Even it can still be Tom, you suck. Doesn't have to be as nice as Chris's was. But any super thanks will get a shout out here on the Cowboys Report. You can click that thanks icon, edit your message. We appreciate everyone who watches, especially those of you who go above and beyond like Chris does. $5 super chat from Object Pawar. Dowdle RB1, Davis RB2, Zeke RB3. Do you agree? No. I am not that high on Malik Davis. I would probably give the edge. I will not announce. I'll give the edge to Deuce Vaughn and Royce Freeman over Davis. I don't think there's that same level of juice that Deuce Vaughn offers you. I think Freeman is a little bit more powerful of a runner. And I also think this too. I think the Malik Davis, Royce Freeman, Zeke Elliott role, that's kind of all similar to me. I want someone that offers more big plays. I don't think Malik Davis is a super big play guy. I think he's fine. He can be on my practice squad again. But also, I think if you're doing this, you have to flip Davis and Zeke because I need my RB3 to play special teams. And Zeke is just not going to do that. So, and also, I am still going to be scouring the waiver wire this offseason to find running back help or trade options. Savon Ahmed's banged up. Probably doesn't count from that category, but I am not satisfied at all here. From Leroy Pearson Jr., if you can make one major roster move via trade, signing, or release, what would it be? I am still coveting a dynamic impact 3 technique. I've seen flashes of it from Osa Odigizua. But, if I could get a Jonathan Allen type of healthy football player, I'm all for that. I don't think that's realistic. I'll settle for just paying freaking CeeDee Lamb. But I still crave that crazy high-end impact Christian Wilkins type, maybe not the contract, defensive tackle. Dallas Fanatic. I don't know if you're serious, but I will answer it seriously. Bring in Randy Gregory. I don't think you need to because you have Carl Lawson playing that basically the exact same role. I don't want to because it is a massive red flag for me that Randy Gregory signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, did his little intro thing, and then just never showed up. And the Bucs still don't know why. That's really bad. So I hope that Randy's doing okay on a personal level, but I think there's a lot of off-field stuff that the Cowboys screwed up because they wanted to pay him, and then they screwed up by not doing it, and then ended up getting out of it in the end because they didn't agree to the contract terms, which didn't even end up applying. He just ended up being bad in Denver. So they kind of, 2 wrongs made a right in the end for Randy Gregory. And as part of that, I think that bridge has probably been burnt. I don't know if either side wants to get back together. That was kind of an ugly breakup. And sometimes get back together with your ex. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. I don't think that's the exact same thing as Randy Gregory, though. But I believe in democracy, so you guys can vote. Would you bring back Randy? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off the pinned comment of today's show. Buster Cherry, Tyler Kabubi played good in my eyes. There's room for improvement, but what is it that needs to be improved? In general, a lot of this is going to come down to reps. There's a lot of things that they haven't seen in the NFL. NFL teams, in most cases, are not doing all these stunts and disguises and overloads and loops and showcasing all of their best pass rush moves against the best competition. Like, the Raiders play their starters a little bit. Guess what? Guyton's going to get Myles Garrett in week 1. Going to get Cam Jordan in week 2. That's a really hard matchup. So, responding to adversity and how you handle when you do get beat, whether it's your technique, you have a low snap, a bad snap, Kabibi at times will go too quick trying to go from snap to blocking, which is natural. He's gotten a lot better there. Guyton can still lean a little bit. He can waist bend a little bit, but he's gotten better with his technique with Duke Manyweather. And when you're playing more snaps and you're tired, does your technique regress back? All those little small things. The athletic traits are there. The ground floor is awesome. I am thrilled out of what I've seen so far from both guys. But it's a long season. They are first-year players. You can ask any NFL player. The guy they were week 1 as a first-year guy versus week 8 versus week 17 versus year 5, night and day. It'll take time. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, it's just you against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you watch your winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. That's $10 into $1,000. They've got even little bonuses throughout the season, right? Caleb Williams, 1 passing yard, gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. It's the freebies, just to kind of juice your options. I also like some season-long Prize Picks, since we're not quite into the full football season yet. Calvin Ridley, T. Higgins, Cooper Kupp, all the more than on their receiving yards. Their injury risks there, sure. Maybe some quarterback concerns to an extent, but this guy's still they're going to smash those marks. I like the flex play, too. Get 2 out of 3 right, 3 out of 4 right, you still win. Lower payout, but you're a lot more likely to actually win. So download the Prize Picks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, run your game, and check out the comment section and the description of today's show for that link. Ishmael Farouk, if Jones doesn't pay Lamb, will he be there by week 1? I think so, because I don't think he wants to miss out on a $1 million-ish game check. It's not quite $1 million, but it's close to it. I think he shows up. It probably does not bode well for the future of negotiations, though, if that ends up being the case. Church O Nation, bro, Zeke will break the single-season rushing title. This is his year. Quit hating. I can smell the sarcasm, though. I know you're not serious. That's fine. It's fine. Johnny Henry, you see Deuce get lost behind that big offensive line. Thoughts? He juked 2 guys. He made 2 guys miss. He had 19 yards with the contact. Like, that's all good for me. Again, I can't quit him. You know, call it a soft spot. That's fine. A 6th-round pick is a 6th-round pick. You always got to factor that into your evaluation stuff and your expectations. But I saw more explosive playing out of Deuce Vaughn than I've seen in the preseason so far. Low bar, but we have a low bar in Dallas at the running back room. Busch Gardens fan, who would be wide receiver 1 if CeeDee leaves? Be Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, and I don't know who your 3rd receiver would be. That'd probably be after this upcoming season, which also Brandon Cooks is a free agent, so my #1 contract player who's technically under contract with franchise tag, so it's an asterisk there, but #1 guy is Jalen Tolbert. You probably want to draft a receiver next year anyway. You should probably pay your #1 guy as well. From Chrissy, however you pronounce it, Peyton Hendershot trade. I'm down. Who wants Peyton Hendershot? Who needs him? Like, who's trading for your #3 tight end who's probably not going to make your roster anyway? You could offer him up. I'm sure there is a, we're going to cut this guy a call if you want to trade for him, like borderline group chat between NFL GMs. But I don't think anyone's going to trade for him. So name a player that you want to trade away. Sound off for me in the comments of today's show. From Mark, $5 super chat. Thank you, Mark. The DT we got from Buffalo was a good signing because we are so weak there. I rate these guys based on the percent of teams he would start with. What do you think that percentage is? I don't think he starts anywhere. I think that actually includes Dallas, too. I think it's still Osa and Mozzie Smith. Now, in terms of how many teams is he in the rotation for? 5 to 10? Maybe? Maybe differing levels of what that rotation looks like, but he does fit what Dallas wants. He was in the rotation to an extent last year for Buffalo, so it was a fine. I would have been on board signing Jordan Phillips at the beginning of free agency. Totally on board. The Giants found some young guys that they really like at DT that made him expendable. Dallas went in and got a conditional draft pick for him. Love it. Great move. Do more of those things in March and April and not wait till August. Brian Greathouse. I think Jerry Jones is more about the money than winning a Super Bowl. I think part of this conversation involves Stephen Jones, because he's got a lot of control here. Jerry Jones has straight up said this. He views all attention as good attention. He likes that. I think if you told the Dallas Cowboys, you can have what you've had the last 20 years, or the last 12 years, where if your quarterback's healthy, you are in the playoffs or almost a playoff team. But you've got a 5% chance of winning a Super Bowl each year. Or you can tell them, hey, it's 6 years of success, but it's a 15% chance at a Super Bowl. They're going to take the first option. They don't want to win a Super Bowl at all costs. That is not how they operate their business. They want to not be bad at all costs. And they are still facing that as a possibility this next offseason. But they play to not lose stuff. And I think that is frustrating for them. And as long as the money's good, and that comes along with being a 10-win team, they're just fine. They're just fine with that outcome. Brian Rudolph, what did you think of the Sports Illustrated suggesting Troy Aikman as next Cowboys head coach? I'm glad you asked that. Actually, I'm kind of glad you asked, because I wasn't going to bring it up because I didn't think it was worth my time. It was so stupid. That is like the dumbest thing I've read all day. And I've read a lot of stuff today about CeeDee Lamb and Ezekiel Elliott and all that other crap. Like, that is such a dumb idea. Hiring a head coach who has never coached, period, does not make sense. It's a horrible business strategy. It's a horrible decision. Like, Aikman as a head coach makes zero sense. You want to put him in the front office? Okay. He expressed interest there. I'm not making my GM day one. I think Will McClay's better. But, Cowboys trotting out Troy Aikman or Jason Witten is unserious behavior. So, frankly, sometimes freedom of speech is a mistake. And suggesting Troy Aikman as Cowboys head coach is a mistake. And maybe we shouldn't have that for everybody. Who will be the Cowboys head coach in 2025? It's not going to be Aikman. I'm worried it's going to be Mike Zimmer. But who will be the Cowboys head coach in 2025? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Food review. Hell scenario. Dak leaves. Mike's fired. Trey is bad and doesn't resign, and you're pick at 24. What the hell do you do? Do you reach for a quarterback? Do you go BPA, trade the farm for a pick? I don't even know. This is the point I've tried to make, and I think it's summed up pretty well when we have the quarterback conversation. That's why I want a decision now, because this is an option now. Because you're going to be 24-ish, probably. You might have Dak. You're probably going to fire your head coach. What is your plan? You're going to bring in Russell Wilson after he didn't make it in Pittsburgh? We're going to try out Jimmy Garoppolo? You're going to just let Lance try it out? Those are not good options. The quarterback class, the guys that are there at 24 would probably be a reach. Like, Shedeur Sanders, okay. Well, if he's good, he's not going to last at 24. Or if you think he's going to be that superstar caliber QB. But do you want to trade? I think it's 24 to like 5? It's like 3 first-round picks. You'd be better off just paying Dak the money and keeping your first-round picks. So that is my hell scenario. And I don't know what the solution is because none of them are very good. From Mr. J, what do you say, Tom, to using Trey Lance like Taysom Hill? I think if you want to find a way to utilize him and you're committed to that, I think a Taysom Hill role makes sense. I have said this more on our NFL shows than our Cowboys show here. I don't like the Taysom Hill role that much. I have a better quarterback. It's a similar-ish. One was a Hall of Famer. When the Saints took the ball out of Drew Brees' hands to make Taysom Hill a thing, I thought that was always stupid. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback. Now you obviously don't have one in Dak Prescott, but you've got a QB that was second in MVP. Do I really want to not use him and instead let Trey Lance do Wildcat stuff? Maybe the occasional package is fine, but I never liked that package all that much. So it's a fun way to maximize Lance, but is that and should it be my priority? Folks, we are live twice a week here on the Cowboys Report. So if you haven't already, hit that sub button and subscribe. Reminder of our super chat menu, $20 for a shot, since I didn't do any during the. Excuse me. If I didn't do anything during the first preseason game, second preseason game, so we can do them now. $20 for a shot, $50 for a beer bong, $100 bong slap and shot, $500 for a custom Cowboys jersey. Ecuador man says you pay Dak, choke for 4 years, then rebuild. See, I get what you're going for. Isn't this the worst case scenario of paying Dak? And maybe I actually shouldn't. I guess I'll put air quotes in there because I think the worst case scenario is he gets hurt again, which is actually my biggest concern. You win 10 games 4 straight years in a row, give or take. You come up short again in the postseason. You tried. I think, though, if you're doing this plan, you have to actually spend some more money elsewhere. You have to actually be aggressive and maximize your window. I would have done, maybe not the choke part, obviously. I would have done one of these two things 3 months ago, 4 months ago now. In February, I would have said, okay, if your decision, and I know this is Ecuadorians, and it's totally fine. If your verdict is it's not going to work, whether it's the way the team is constructed and the quarterback, just the quarterback, whatever it is, if your decision is it's just not quite going to be good enough, not going to be enough to win a title, then you tear it down. You say it's not going to work with Dak Prescott. Dak, we're going to go to you. We want to rebuild. We want to put you in the best spot possible. We're not that worried about the trade compensation. It is what it is. We'll get whatever we can at that point. I would have, frankly, my hottest take that has never had to come to fruition on this, I would have rather cut Dak Prescott this offseason and said, screw it, let's bottom out, than potentially lose him for nothing next offseason. Because you're going to get a third-round comp pick. Does a third-round comp pick change your outlook if you don't have Dak Prescott? No. It's an asset. It could be Oso Odigizua. It could be Nashawn Wright. I would have either been aggressive now or I would have rebuilt. And I would have been very aggressive on either side. I would have been the extreme ends of the spectrum. Either full-on rebuild, give me picks, let me rebuild, tank for a year, get that number 1 overall pick in 2025. Or I would have been, let's pay Dak, let's pay Lamb, let's move some money around, let's go spend. Extreme aggression is what I would have done. $20 super chat from Leroy Pearson Jr. It's shot time. What possible coach do you see taking a chance in the Cowboys coach job after McCarthy with no true QB1 on your roster? So there's 2 ways I see it. I see it as positive number 1. The Cowboys, to a fault, have given their last 2 head coaches probably more leeway than they should have. They let Jason Garrett hang around for 5 years longer than he should have. They let Mike McCarthy coach out his contract. They're loyal. They'll give you all that time. Now, it ain't going to be fun if Dak's a free agent and you don't know if he's going to sign. That makes the Cowboys' job not very appealing. It would not be. And if you haven't paid CeeDee Lamb, that's also an issue, by the way, which I would pray to God you take care of by then. I still think you do, but still. There's also only 32 jobs. And sometimes your contract, sometimes your stock is hot, sometimes it's not. But if you have options, Dallas might not be that number 1 option. There's also more pressure you got to deal with. You can't hide in a way you could in even LA. You can hide a little bit. It's not quite the same media attention, right? I'll say this, it's not going to be a veteran coach that wants to win now. If Dak's not your QB, Bill Belichick, I don't think is going to come here. Because Bill Belichick at his age does not want to rebuild. And that's what you're doing if you don't have the QB1. So you're probably going to have to gamble on a younger guy, which is also not what Mike has done for a while, or Jerry has done for a while. All of that, it makes for a lot of unknowns. and makes for what I do not anticipate enjoying next offseason. Not that we normally enjoy it here in Cowboy land, but I think there's a lot more downside than there's been previously. Cheers, Leroy. Noah Turner, who gets Stephon Diggs in free agency next year if he doesn't re-sign with Houston. You know that'll be a rumor. I'm sure Trayvon would love that. I suppose it's possible, but does he want to take less? Because the Cowboys are not going to win a bidding war. When was the last free agency bidding war that they won? They didn't technically win the Amari Cooper one. Washington offered more, and he said, I want to stay in Dallas with Dak and try to win games there. He used the Commanders as leverage to get a little bit more money. He took less, and then he got traded anyway. So, look, the Diggs rumors will be back again in full force. I kind of want to see how he plays, because it is worth mentioning. The Bills' offense was better last year when they stopped force-feeding Stephon Diggs. Maybe a coincidence, maybe not, but that did happen last offseason. So I think it is worth mentioning there. All right, we are getting ready to preview the Cowboys-Chargers preseason game. Will you be watching? Y for yes, N for no. Go ahead and sound off for me here in the comments section of today's live show. The third and final preseason game is almost here. It is, thank God, not a 10 p.m. start. A much more normal human being start, 4 p.m. Eastern, or practically like 4:15 given their own history there. Cowboys are an early 3.5-point favorite against the Chargers. A lower over-under should be a plenty of backup-heavy game. So who you got in this one? D for the Dallas Cowboys, or L for the Los Angeles Chargers. It also works because it means the Cowboys are going to take the L. I like it. Vote for me in the comments of today's show. We'll talk 5 things to watch for. You knew what number 1 was going to be. It's been our number 1 thing every preseason game. I want to see more growth from Trey Lance. We saw growth in week 2. Now, we broke it down on the channel previously. Several different reasons why that growth happens. Some for Lance, some for supporting cast stuff. That's what happens in football. It's never just one thing, even though it'd be a lot easier if it was. Sometimes it's more of one thing than the other, but I digress. Lance was better in week 2. I would like to see him take another step forward in week 3. And that probably means, in particular, more big plays. I've seen some good stuff from Lance. I think actually pre-snap, he's pretty solid. That hasn't played that much football. He's able to check in and do some good stuff on that front there. Didn't miss as many plays. Now, I want to see him take a second step forward. I want to see him be a little bit more of a borderline dominant preseason player when he's playing backups. Because you can argue the quarterback 2 stuff with Rush, and that is a very valid argument. But beyond that, I got to see a lot more before I'm fully drinking all that Kool-Aid. Number 2 thing to watch for. As of filming, I haven't seen anyone mention this. Is Dak going to call the plays again? Because that worked really well the last time it happened. It was Will Grier against the Raiders, vanilla defense. He threw for like 300-something yards, or total yards, 4 TDs. Dak dialed up some pretty darn good plays for the Cowboys in that game. So I kind of want to have him do it again. I think it helps him with just understanding game flow, and I think it's a good thing for a guy that I think could actually be a really good coach when his playing career is over. I think it helps master the offense. I think it builds some chemistry with the starter and the backup. So I would like to see Dak call the plays again, because it's fun, it's entertaining, and I think it's a good thing for the Cowboys and maybe for Trey Lance as well. So do you think Dak should call the plays this week? Y for yes, N for no at the pinned comments of today's video, especially if that ad comes here on YouTube. Number 3, Mozzie Smith's return. I assume he plays in this game because I think it's good to give him the reps with where he's at in his career. He missed, of course, week 2 after clearly some false information that had been out there that I had seen and didn't report because it didn't and trust where it could come from. But Mozzie Smith had dealt with a peanut allergy reaction, which is that's not something you screw around with, by the way. So he was on the bus set to travel to the plane for the preseason game and had to bail and come back because he had some type of allergic reaction to peanuts, that's not one you mess around with. I had thought sting or bite had been my random guess, but peanut allergy reaction. Okay, glad that got taken care of. Good thing I assume there were trainers on board too, because that can be actually quite scary there. I thought Mozzie Smith was actually kind of pretty solid in that last preseason game. The first one, I should say. Not a lot of splash plays. The box score did not give him a TFL. That's BS. He had a TFL. He made the tackle on the screen. I thought that was ridiculous. But he did his job well. His job is not to be 7-sack guy. His job is to be a one technique. His job is to be a nose guard. Absorb blockers. Take on double teams. Don't get pushed around. Make life easy on the linebackers behind you. Like, that's what I want out of Mozzie Smith. I thought I saw a decent amount of that in week one. I think the overall conditioning is still in a work in progress because, as it turns out, it is very tough to rehab a shoulder injury and gain weight and be in shape all at once. That's not how the human body is built to handle things. So it's a work in progress there. I want a contributing football player in year two, and I have some optimism that we can get that. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Game Time. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. You can find some super deals, some amazing deals, and save money to your next big football event, to your next big baseball event, NFL, college as well, comedy, concert, theaters, and more. Download the Game Time app and create your account over at gametime.co. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create your account and redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. That link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price guarantee. That's gametime.co and promo code CHATSPORTS. Number 4, if you know me, you knew this was going to be on here. This was a no-brainer. Let the deuce loose. You're kind of in a weird spot now, by the way, with what you have on your roster. You want to see what Trey Lance can do and let him sling that ball around. You also want to see what the running backs fighting for a roster spot can do. And that's Royce Freeman and Malik Davis and Deuce Vaughn. I think from what you have on your roster, I've got guys that can pass protect. I've got guys that can be the throwback power runner, right? That's Zeke Elliott. That's Rico Dowdle, can do a little bit of everything. Royce Freeman. I think Malik Davis. I think some of those roles are repetitive. I don't have somebody, and I am also still down to find someone who can do it better than Deuce Vaughn out there in free agency or the trade market, or be a better overall running back and be your true lead back. I want to see someone make some more plays. I want to see someone be shifty, be explosive, be a threat to get some explosive plays. You've got one explosive run this preseason. It was Deuce Vaughn's. Probably not something that should be overlooked. It's a small sample size, but I want to give him the ball. I want to get him some returns. I think Deuce Vaughn can be your number 2, number 3 return guy. Can be your number 3, number 4 back. I still think he can handle that role. Just don't give him the ball down by 20 and have him do inside zone 4 times. That's stupid. That's not what he's for. But let other backs grind out the clock. Well, let Deuce Vaughn live in space on the edges. You didn't do enough edge stuff last year anyway. Maybe they'll do more of it this season. They ran some zone and gap stuff. He ran well with both. But he is not guaranteed a roster spot. So does Deuce Vaughn make this Cowboys roster? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Get those predictions in for me in the comments of today's video. Finally, number 5 features a lot of names we'll actually discuss here. I want to see some bounce back games. When we have winners and loser conversation, it can turn negative. And I always want to make it clear, I'm not hoping these guys are bad. Even if it was someone I didn't want to sign, I didn't want to draft, I want to be wrong. I want my team to win games. And the best way for that to happen is the players to play well. So we'll discuss some names here in a minute, but we will be live, if you didn't know, for the Cowboys-Chargers preseason matchup. If you haven't already, please hit that sub button right now. All right, some bounce back candidates here. Jalen Cropper really did not play well in week 2. Fighting for a spot, show me more. I've been very mean to Viliami Fehoko. I wouldn't say wrong, but I have been mean. Therefore, it's not slander or libel if it is accurate. Make some plays, bud. Make me put you on this roster. Tyron Millie Johnson, great training camp, but he has just been a non-factor, whether it's his fault or not. In the preseason games, I think Princeton Fant and Brevin Spann-Ford. I don't know who that tight end 3 is because neither of them have really shown off yet. Like even John Stevens, I think, has been better. None of those guys have been overly flashy, so they're fighting for a spot. I thought Dakota Shepley was kind of bad in that second preseason game, so I want to see more out of him. Matt Waletzko, upon second view, was better than I thought he was live, and the tight ends were worse, helping him out, by the way. But he's fighting for a spot. Got to see more there. I didn't think Damian Wilson looked that great either. That extra linebacker spot, whether it's Buddy Johnson, Willie Harvey, Damian Wilson, Nick Vigil, Brock Moggensen, Jason Johnson, there's 1 or 2 spots there. I have no idea who it's going to be. Not a single clue. So we'll see how that all ends up playing out. But I want to see some guys bounce back in that third and final opportunity to do so. All right, Cowboys legend voting before we go. Rolando McClain has taken a majority vote at 52%. Keith Brooking at 20%. Scott Fujita, DeVonte Holloman at 15% each. We will have a poll on the community page available for you guys to vote tomorrow morning, so you can separate your vote between Fujita and Holloman, whoever you're going for there. But certainly early returns indicate, to few people's surprise, Rolando McClain going to be in that Cowboys legend Ring of Honor. Again, it's not actual Ring of Honor. Someone always gets mad at me. On Facebook, someone always thinks that we are the actual Cowboys page. Even though it says by Chat Sports and isn't the Cowboys logo, but I digress. Always happens. Somehow, some way. And it's not the actual Ring of Honor. I want to be clear on that. It's the not actually good one. All right, reminder on this week's live schedule. We will start the Thursday live stream, our normal show, 3:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's go an hour and a half before the game again. That's fun. Plus, I'm not going to do anything else with my life. I have no life except for this. So make sure you guys are subscribed. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. More videos all week long.